Will Smith is a megastar. He's been one for over 20 years. From June 2018 through June 2019, he made, just in that time span alone, $40 million. That's pretty damn good. There's no denying how huge he is. I mean, if you're someone in Hollywood who gets to do this,
and the Oscar goes to,
you're pretty fucking important. But it's impossible not to ask this question. Why has Will Smith been in so many terrible movies? Smith's acting career started off with a bang in 1999 when he got the lead role in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's likely that Fresh Prince will always be the thing he is most known for, and there's obviously nothing wrong with that. To this day, it's still culturally relevant, from memes down to its theme song. I mean, all you need to hear is just literally this part.
Now this is a story.
And Will Smith just pops right into your head. I mean, it's a great show. Still fun to watch, and he's even recently discussed developing a spin-off. In a 2007 Time magazine interview, Smith said that at that point in his career, he wanted to be the biggest movie star in the world. He sat down with his longtime business partner, James Lasseter, and studied box office numbers and blockbuster hits, finding the patterns for success. That strategy? Yeah, I'd say it worked. From 1992 through 1998, Will Smith's movies raked in a total of $1.9 billion, with box office smash hits like Men in Black, Independence Day, Bad Boys. Those movies averaged a critical score of 67% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 62 on Metacritic. Those aren't gaudy numbers by any stretch, but factor in that even though Independence Day and Bad Boys had lower scores on those websites, audiences still absolutely loved them. And they both remain popular, memorable blockbuster movies to this day. This is probably a big part of the answer to the question of why Smith has been in so many bad movies too. When you seek out the big bucks, it means you're more than likely going to just end up landing in some stinkers. And in 1999, things did start to change for him.
all right, this is one of them stories I'm not proud of, but it's the truth. I did turn down Neo in The Matrix.
What did Smith do instead of The Matrix?
So I made Wild Wild West.
With the exception of the song, there was absolutely nothing positive to come out of Will Smith's first terrible movie, Wild Wild West. Smith even knows and admits how awful it was, stating that he made the movie for the wrong reasons and he found himself promoting something he wanted to win versus promoting something he believed in. To this day, Wild Wild West remains one of the worst summer blockbuster movies ever made. It's big.
So I'm sitting in the theater watching the movie, I'm like, good Lord, this is a piece of shit. But then all of a sudden, like a giant fucking spider shows up.
Loud, dumb,
These breasts are a work of art, aesthetically and scientifically perfect. They look like shit. Touch them. I'm not touching those things. What, are you afraid you're wrong? Touch them.
Don't you just hate that song?
and insanely uninteresting for a movie of that magnitude and with that big of a budget. It is still one of Smith's lowest rated movies from both audiences and critics. It also needs to be mentioned that Wild Wild West derailed the Nick Cage Superman movie.
To try to figure a way to get it going again, because I wasn't going to give up on it until I got it made. Will Smith said yes to Wild Wild West, and we went off and began, shooting that.
No, they actually mentioned in the room while they were pulling the plug that the funds were going to be going over to Wild Wild West, and that is its own story.
That's a whole other
story.
Documentary.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is the biggest crime with Wild Wild West. Because that movie exists, we never got to see Nick Cage as Superman. From Wild Wild West in 1999 all the way up to 2019, Smith's movies have an average score of 41.8% on Rotten Tomatoes and 47.7% on Metacritic. Will Smith hasn't had a movie with a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes at a 70% or above since Enemy of the State in 1998. There's no question he's still successful though, and that must be mentioned. In the same 20-year span, Smith's movies have made over $6.8 billion. And there have been a few Smith movies loved by audiences despite hate from critics. The biggest discrepancies between audiences and critics for Smith include Bad Boys 2, The Pursuit of Happiness, I, Robot, and Aladdin. Funny enough, Smith was initially roasted online for his portrayal of the genie, but the movie, his most successful of all time at the box office, was enjoyable mostly because of his twist on the iconic character. This might come as a surprise, but Hitch, which always seems to be a crowd favorite, actually has lower marks from audiences than it does with critics. I like Hitch. You won't get any Hitch slander here. Audiences also agree with critics on movies like I Am Legend and Ali, as those hover around scores of average to just slightly above average. Ali, a movie I personally enjoy a lot, is also one of two movies in which Smith earned a nomination at the Academy Awards. The other was for his role in The Pursuit of Happiness. This lends to the notion that no, he's not failing by any stretch of the imagination. That's for sure. But he still isn't starring in movies, or he still doesn't have roles that are leaving marks on Hollywood or pop culture like he did back in the 1990s. Sure, there are movies people enjoy. I Am Legend, Hitch, as I mentioned, and others, but would you consider any of those to be as memorable in terms of roles as Independence Day for him, or Bad Boys, or Men in Black? Smith has also succumbed to Oscar bait quite a bit during this run of mediocre to bad movies. 7 Pounds was a bafflingly terrible movie and pretty depressing. Despite a decent performance from Smith, Collateral Beauty was the definition of Oscar bait. It was insufferable cry porn at times and didn't live up to its pre-award season buzz. Samuel L. Jackson even went after the movie. Then there was Concussion, another Smith movie that couldn't quite live up to its pre-release hype. Really? That movie? That movie had Oscar buzz? Come on.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Despite a Golden Globe nomination, it amounted to nothing of note and was far too much of a snooze fest considering its interesting subject matter. If you dig really deep into the bottom of the barrel for Will Smith movies, what do you find?
Humans have physical tells. Like the face.
What's my face?
The human who needs a lot more conjugal love type face.
Do not wink at me like that.
No, not Bright. I don't think Bright's a good movie, but I had fun with it, so whatever, let's push it aside. The movie I'm talking about is After Earth. Billed as a Will Smith, M. Night Shyamalan movie, this is what we got instead.
Breathing fluid. Breathing fluid, 4 vials available.
Why are you not showing me the case?
Largely considered Smith's worst movie, After Earth might very well be the most boring one he also made, and one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It's largely centered around Smith's son Jaden's character, while Will's character just kind of sat there and talked in a monotone voice the whole movie. It was brutal, and even Smith knew it, calling it the most painful failure in his career. Neo in The Matrix was also not the only huge successful role that Will Smith turned down. It's now well known that he was the first choice to play Django in the smash hit Django Unchained from Quentin Tarantino, which eventually starred Jamie Foxx. Smith said about the role that he really wanted to make the movie, but he felt it had to be a love story and not one about vengeance. He felt that he just couldn't connect to violence being the answer. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that sentence. However, it does play into the second part of the answer to the main question of why he's been in so many terrible movies. I think Smith has a few dud performances, but he's still a pretty damn good actor. It's obvious that Smith is rather picky about his roles. There's a reason you don't really see him as a villain or an overly violent hero. When he is shooting weapons or fighting, there's typically plenty of comedic twists thrown in there. Because of what seems to be a cookie-cutter formula for the type of movies he usually stars in, it makes sense that not going for anything too risky has resulted in a pretty long streak without a movie widely considered fantastic. The biggest risk he has taken in recent years with any character is probably Deadshot in Suicide Squad. Academy Award winner Suicide Squad. Now, that DC movie was a disaster in terms of reshoots, studio interference, and deceptive marketing. It was a terrible movie, widely panned by both critics and audiences. Smith might have been the best part of the movie, actually, but even that villain character was pretty toned down and shaped into a protagonist in the story. And this leads me to Smith's most recent movie, Gemini Man, which I can best describe as a cool tech project without any substance whatsoever. The most notable part of Gemini Man is that there are not one but two Will Smiths, one young and one old, all achieved by some incredible de-aging work. I will say that, it looks really great. but it's a pretty terrible movie. I landed on a score of 51 out of 100 for it, and that places it above Hellboy and X-Men Dark Phoenix, and below Isn't It Romantic and A Dog's Way Home. Despite looking cool at times with some fun action, Gemini Man is a lot like a really big steak that has absolutely no seasoning whatsoever. Sure, it's a steak, right? You can't truly hate it. Without any flavor, there isn't much to it at all. It's bland, it's boring.
Ignorance is bliss.
Story is just not intriguing as well as the script. It was also shot on 120 frames per second and has that really bizarre soap opera effect to it that people in Hollywood, especially Tom Cruise, really hate.
The unfortunate side effect is that it makes most movies look like they were shot on high-speed video rather than film. Now, this is sometimes referred to as the soap opera effect.
It just looks too weird and too real, and it's generally off-putting and rather upsetting and distracting to look at if you see it in that format. Unlike a lot of Will Smith's movies that don't receive praise, Gemini Man is not only being panned, despite early Oscar buzz, but it's also going to be a huge flop at the box office and potentially the biggest ever for Will Smith. I mean, chalk that up as the first ever victory for Wild Wild West, right? It's pretty clear that it all comes down to strategy for Will Smith. I think that's the biggest overarching answer to the question. He's very selective with his roles, maintaining an image that has made him a huge star, won him some Kids' Choice Awards, and bloated his box office total. As I said before, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it just has resulted in him pumping out movies that, more often than not, miss the mark for audiences and critics. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe as well, that'd be a big help. Let us know in the comments section below what your favorite Will Smith movie is. We'll be positive here, okay? And leave your thoughts on Gemini Man, if you've seen it, which I don't know how many people saw Gemini Man. You can also rate that movie and all 2019-2018 movies in the links below as well. Thanks again for watching. Enjoy the movie.